rituals of creating sustainable buildings, and there's going to be a lot of debate, I hope, today. FHD, I'll just give you a brief introduction about us. We are a company which has our base office in Hyderabad, and we do all kinds of projects from small to medium to large. So we have multiple capacity to test sustainability at different scales. We recently completed an eco resort in Chennai for the Sheraton. We are doing some projects abroad. This is in Tehran, grade A office building, 300-meter building. So this is something with self-shading on it. So I'm going to actually talk about two other projects which we are doing in Hyderabad. This is an organic farming community that we're doing in Hyderabad, and we're also doing a high-rise building which would be a highly sustainable green building. And we're also into doing bamboo structures. So these are the 2 or 3 items that I'm going to emphasize on during this presentation. What we normally do as architects and as a large-scale corporate firm, we do a lot of residential buildings, and you would see them across Bangalore. We are doing a lot of projects here as well. But there is a pinch when we are doing all of these, like how it started in the morning. There's a lot of issues about cost, about how the capex and the sales price, all of this gets broiled into making a product. And that creates a sort of a feedback loop between developers and architects. The developers are looking for density, marketing, USPs for the project, and they use green as a USP. Architects, on the other hand, we feed them with standardized solutions, quick turnaround, so that we actually make a very efficient model to deliver urbanity into the fast-growing city condition. But what suffers in between this entire thing is our response to how we are green and how we are sustainable on a longer term. So today's developers typically go for a lot of marketing, right? You hear a lot of projects being called imperial grade, sustainable. What does it mean, right? I mean, most of it has become a catchphrase more than actually a meaningful job. So sometimes we wonder as architects how to make a difference, because after we have done all of this, what we end up with is a city that we cannot live in. So what is it that we are actually trying to create? So this question has been bothering us for a while, and we tried to pitch certain ideas to developers about how we can create a self-reliant community. Can we make a model that is both urban and rural, so that we actually bring some of those ideologies back into the city? And how do we switch from consumption to production? So these were things that we have been trying to tell people to create communities that can reflect these ideas and principles. So how do you do it? Is it because most of the people who don't like the cities just end up taking a farmhouse or go outside the city and live in kind of a escape mechanism for them to go out of the city. So we tried to do that and created a farmhouse, but it didn't work because the maintenance cost was high. Everything was too expensive to have that small experience of lifestyle. So our realization was simple, that as architects we have to expand our thinking. We have to not just look at sustainability as a building, but actually as a diverse ecosystem. So you don't just create architecture and put products that are sustainable on it, but actually create an environment that is sustainable, right? And also push this idea of sustainability as a collective whole, not just do it as a developer and then leave it for end users to take it up later. So we developed a project ourselves. It's called Organo. The development is called Nandi, and we created a company called Organo to make that. The idea is that within a city's premises, we should be able to create a lifestyle that merges urban and rural. We call it Rurban, and that's actually a lot of push towards that direction by the government. So we took a small piece of land, not really small, 35 acres of land, which was an abandoned agricultural field. So obviously there's a lot of movement from farmers. The next generation is not continuing it. They're leaving it and going. So a lot of farmland is being wasted. So we took that up. In 3 years, we actually created a farming, organic farming, that became the center of a community that we designed with houses all around it. Now this community was designed as a net zero community. So we, for the sake of having our own rating methodology, we created 7 principles, fundamental principles to which this project has to address. So it is not really a LEED or IGBC or a Griha methodology, but actually the fundamental principles for why this design is sustainable. First being food, water, because without water, agriculture is not possible. So we created a a complete ecosystem for capturing the water that is falling on our property and diverting it through swales into water catchment areas or tanks. And these are actually fully active tanks, so they're by themselves an ecosystem, not just a place to hold water. So we could use it as humans, we could go and use as part of it. So eventually it has developed into this wonderful community for even birds to come in and settle. So Baya weavers are now inhabited some of the parts where, if you see, remember in 2013 this was a barren piece of land. Right? So it's extraordinary what nature can do in a period of 3 to 4 years. Second is food. So the entire community produces its own food, majority of it at least in terms of vegetables and fruits. And we have a closed ecosystem with animal husbandry as part of it. So the farming itself is no chemicals, absolutely organic, high biodiversity with permaculture ideas. So you do companion cropping, you don't really do monocropping. So that has also created a social impact in the surrounding, because surrounding areas, the farmers are becoming more and more active into organic farming. Third, the idea of energy. The entire community is net zero. In fact, it's net positive. So every home has a 10 kilowatt of solar panels installed as part of it. We have solar thermal energy through water heaters. We have a biogas generator, so there's no dependency on the grid to generate our power. And architecturally, we don't see these solar structures as rooftop elements alone. They actually become part of the architecture. They actually become a symbol for the project, right? So it really merges the idea of energy creation and utility of the space underneath it. And I forgot to mention, because this is also used as a shading structure for the houses. So in fact, the open terraces are fully shaded by the solar structure, creating a hybrid system. Idea of earth, we are non-polluting farming, plastic reduction. We don't, majority of what we do is devoid of plastics, and there's a complete waste recycling within this development itself. So for even facades and exterior shading, we are using crates, wood from crates, which are generally thrown away. So we are putting that as part of our shading structure, and as also roofs, walls, and this is a kind of upcycling methodology. So we don't use something that's being thrown out, but don't fully recycle, only upcycle it. The reason for doing that is because after the cycle period is finished, we just burn it. So every 2 years we burn all the louvers, convert it to biochar, and put it into the farm. So it's a very, very active ingredient in farming. We also involve nearby villages by collecting waste from them and using them as generators for our own energy. Shelter, we think, there's a lot talked about indoor air quality, but what if we start pushing people outdoor? So that's one of the things that we did, kind of create spaces where everything is open to the outside of the farm. It's a very different experience when you come there. And we've used natural materials. So bamboo, for the first time, we didn't know much about it before, but in the last 3 years now we have created a lot of information about bamboo. We started thinking, why not do structures that you would find elsewhere in Indonesia or any of the Asian countries where bamboo is fairly available, but in India it's not being used at all. So we looked at it, why we are doing it there but not able to do here. But there is a lot of bamboo being done in furniture, so it's not, the material is not available, but it's not ready for construction. So we worked with partners from Conbac, they're a group of contractors and farming producers who produce specifically types of bamboos that could be used for construction. But there is still a lot of levels of detailing that you have to do to make sure that the regular bamboo that is grown by a farmer gets converted to something that's straight and used as if it's a construction material. We tested it ourselves, and then eventually we kind of started, created a structure which is around 12 meters in span and 60 meters in length. So today it's one of the biggest bamboo structures in India. We used detailing that would merge bamboo, and wherever bamboo was failing, we kind of supplemented it with a bit of steel in it, but all the bolting and everything was done using bamboo pegs and stainless steel. So there's still a lot of R&D to be done, but we feel that bamboo as a material for large-scale projects is a very, very valuable construction entity today. And now we have, there are other people who, after seeing the structure, have been interested in, creating more bamboo-based pavilions. So we are helping creating a marriage hall. This is a cafe, an outdoor cafe in Mumbai. So that as a new material of construction is certainly something that we can bet on for the next 10 or 12 years to create a new market. Air, we do geo-cooling for all the villas. So we are taking air down 4 meters into the ground, cooling it and bringing it back into the houses through the foundation systems which we have installed during the construction. And inside each room there we have vents that bring air in as fresh air. So again, the indoor air quality being a primal entity in our design principles. And last, you do all of this so that people can come together. So unless you could put people together and create moments where children, students, and all of this becomes a part of an educational process, create pottery in the community so that all the utensils we use are part of this that we create there. And one of the biggest bamboo conferences happened in this bamboo pavilion that we created. College students come and interact with us to create treadmills that can produce power. So it actually becomes an ecosystem where others can start plugging in. It's not really just a standalone project. So that's what we think sustainability should be. It should be kind of a holistic idea, not just of products, but actually of creating an environment in which we feel and live green. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that was a fantastic presentation. Congratulations to you all for